Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Jessica Harrington. Tonight on the Now Bakersfield, it's a spray that can potentially save the life of someone who is suffering from an overdose. Learn how local sheriff's deputies are being trained to use Narcan. And state lawmakers working to help ease some financial burdens for those affected by the recent wildfires, how they plan to help with their property tax. And a local agricultural company making a huge announcement, the details and how they're helping fund various projects in the communities where their employees live and work. That's all ahead on the Now Bakersfield. Chris?
Let's get to our lineup here on the Now. And health insurance, it's confusing. It's hard to know exactly what's covered sometimes. There's a new service making this easier for people on Medicare. We're going to tell you how that works. And retirees returning to work, it's really becoming more common now. We're going to show you how Amazon is helping retirees live out their dreams in exchange for just a couple of months of work. Also, esports, video games, getting so big that big name universities are actually starting to offer classes in this. We're taking a look into what students are really getting into with it. A lot to get to today here on the Now.
Good evening. Law enforcement agencies across the state have started carrying Narcan in their patrol cars, which can help save the life of an individual suffering from a potential overdose. Today, all 309 Kern County Sheriff's deputies are equipped with Narcan. The Now's Daniela Garrido gives us an inside look at the training officers receive to help save lives.
As the opioid epidemic continues to claim lives across the country, more members of law enforcement are armed with naloxone, also known as Narcan.
We're saving numerous lives throughout California now with our deputies.
Narcan is known as a reversal drug for someone undergoing an opioid overdose. In 2015, the FDA approved a nasal spray version of Narcan, which made the drug easier to carry. The nasal spray is given when a patient's respiratory rate is less than 8, blocking the opioid from making it to parts of the brain. The drug is then able to help the patient slowly start to breathe again. According to the California Department of Public Health, the amount of opioid overdose deaths nearly tripled between 2015 and 2017. KCSO says they began training in 2015.
There were 3 departments that had already started deploying Narcan in California, and we became the 4th agency in California to deploy Narcan with their agency. So Kern County Sheriff, again, being the 3rd largest county in California, what an opportunity.
KCSO says 3 years ago, the first round of Narcan training was selective.
They selected a few deputies, FTO officers, senior officers, throughout the county, for our substations and metro. About 30 or so went to the initial training.
Today, all 309 deputies carried drugs.
We've had 7 saves since the deployment, and that's huge. Now, there have been 7 people that maybe won't be here. They wouldn't have been here without the deputies and having Narcan on hand.
We go ahead and pop our caps, insert our 2 milligrams of Narcan. Get my atomizer, which will be in
23ABC got a look at the training deputies undergo to administer the drug, which can be performed in less than 3 minutes.
rapidly squeeze the nostril here, give 1 ml here, squeeze the other nostril, give 1 more ml, which is really 1 milligram of Narcan.
But the decision whether law enforcement should or shouldn't carry the drug is different in every agency across the country.
You're acting like you're a medical person. They're not EMTs, they're not paramedics, they're deputies.
In a statement, Bakersfield Police Department said they do not currently have a policy in place to train officers to use Narcan. However, Bakersfield Fire Department does carry Narcan.
Yeah, I think it comes down to response times. Here within the metropolitan area, we're either simultaneously or one on top of another responding to calls and arriving to calls. So we're able to handle that medical side of it. And BPD, we work together with them as a team. They handle the safety side of it.
BFD also added it's important as first responders to have the drug on hand since they never know what they're going to encounter in a call.
Any incident that we respond to, we want to be able to quickly and efficiently mitigate any problems that we come across.
That was the Now's Daniela Garrido reporting. Qualified organizations are able to request free Narcan from the California Department of Healthcare Services, like schools, veteran organizations, and law enforcement. The push is funded by the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration as a way to combat the opioid crisis. State lawmakers are stepping in to help two counties experiencing hardship after last year's destructive wildfires. Butte and Lake counties are receiving more than $30 million of added revenue from the state budget to make up for lost property tax revenue. The money will cover shortfalls local governments experienced after property values dropped in the wildfire areas. The backfill funding approved today will be available for the next 3 years.
Cities and you have counties where their property tax base was just devastated, properties burned down, really it'll take years for this to recover, so we're just hoping to help out those counties a little bit.
Normally, funds would have been appropriated in June once the budget is fully adopted, but lawmakers say it was critical to send the money as soon as possible. Meanwhile, reality star Kim Kardashian stopped by the state capitol recently to meet with lawmakers about the criminal justice system. Lawmakers announced a proposal that would restore voting rights for thousands of Californians with felony convictions. Lawmakers say Kardashian supported the plan. She also later joined a Capitol reception for survivors of the borderline bar shooting in which 11 people were killed by a former Marine. Chris?
Let's start the news feed with a claim from scientists in Israel who say that they may have found a complete cure for cancer possible within a year. They say it would only take a few weeks, minimal side effects, and be cheaper than most treatments on the market. There isn't much other than their claims at this point, whether or not this is actually going to be a reality. 2019, it's getting a bit weird. Yeah, there's a new docu-series on Netflix about serial killer Ted Bundy, and apparently a lot of people walked away from that story of the murderer thinking he's attractive. So much so Netflix, which gets a little funny on Twitter sometimes, put this out making sure that people know that there are several other people who are attractive on their streaming service besides a man who killed an estimated 30. Well, Tuesdays are tough, and maybe you're having a rough day. Well, you should be able to find a song that speaks to you because scientists looked at pop music lyrics, and they say they're sadder and angrier than ever. The study in the journal Popular Music Studies says that this is really showing what listeners want to hear more than what musicians are actually feeling. Well, it can be tricky knowing if your health insurance covers a procedure or a treatment. Now, the same goes for Medicare. Well, now there's a new app that's here to help Medicare users know exactly what's covered. Now, that app just actually happens to go by the name What's Covered. It focuses on original Medicare, Part A, Part B, and Part D plans. Now, even if you don't have original Medicare, the app will show you some services covered by Medicare Advantage. Now, the new app will also help families know of requirements they need to do beforehand so they can qualify for free services through Medicare. You can download that app for free through iTunes and Google Play. Now, if you're watching this and you don't think, hey, I'm not really that smartphone savvy, that's all okay. This information is also on Medicare's website. They just launched this procedure price lookup page. Yeah, you just search procedure price lookup on Medicare.gov. Let's check back in with our lineup, and it may seem like the retirement dream isn't really a reality for a lot of people anymore. Well, some people have actually figured out a way to still make it work with the help from Amazon. We're going to show you that next here on The Now. Well, you may not be thinking about booking your next family vacation right here in January, but the Now's Andy Taylor says if you do plan on going to a theme park with the family this year, now is the time.
It's the anticipation Disney fans have been waiting for. This year, the Star Wars land at both Disney World and Disneyland will be opening.
It will be jaw-dropping and incredibly emotional to walk into the land for the first time.
Amazing, right? Well, not really when it comes to your wallet. New park features like that make the ticket prices go up. Disney's tickets are already expensive, but they just went up 17% in less than a year. But all is not lost if you are on a budget. I have some tips for how to save at all the theme parks. So buy your tickets in advance. If you get your pass online before the big day, you can save around $25 at parks like Six Flags. And speaking of Six Flags, at 16 of their 18 parks, if you bring a can of Coca-Cola with you, you can save between $3 to $15 off your ticket. Parents and grandparents, now's the time to take the little ones to a theme park. At nearly all of them, kids under the age of 2 to 3 get in free. Disney fans out there know if you're a local, flaunt it, because you can get deals on not just tickets, but food too. No matter what your favorite park is, avoid all the holidays and visit during the off-season like May or September. You can even try during the week. Tickets can be cheaper on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. With a little bit of planning, your spending at an amusement park doesn't have to feel like the King to Ka roller coaster. For the Now, I'm Annie Taylor.
All right, Andy, thank you. And the best place to binge good movies? Netflix. Yeah, that is if you trust Rotten Tomatoes, the site that ranks movies. Well, the site Streaming Observer, which tracks this compared to other streaming services like Hulu, HBO, and Amazon Prime, well, it found that Netflix has the most movies that are ranked as certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. Now, Amazon Prime has way more titles on its app, but they didn't even come close to having as many certified fresh films as Netflix.
A local agricultural company making a major announcement today, revealing they have awarded several local nonprofits thousands of dollars in grant funding. The wonderful company and its owners, Linda and Stuart Resnick, have awarded $600,000 in total to their 2019 recipients of their Wonderful Community Grants program. These grants reflect the Resnicks' commitment to giving back in the communities where their employees live and work. The grants focus on health and wellness, supporting families, and community beautification. This year's grants will go to 15 nonprofits funding 22 projects and programs that address critical needs in their local communities. Wonderful Community Grants began in 2016 in Avenel and Wasco and continues to expand and now includes Delano and McFarland. Each of the 4 communities will receive up to $150,000 with grants ranging from $5,000 to $50,000. Valentine's Day quickly approaching, but beforehand, there might be something you and your loved one could do that could help a local child in need. The court-appointed Special Advocates of Kern County, or CASA, is holding a special Valentine's Day themed couples orientation night. Those interested in becoming advocates can go and hear couples who are CASA volunteers speak about their experience volunteering together. CASA will also be providing hors d'oeuvres and door prizes. The orientation is happening Friday, February 8th at 6 p.m. at the CASA office. The office is located at 1717 Columbus Street in East Bakersfield. All right, switching to weather now. Many places across the country very cold. Thankfully, we are not one of those places, Allison.
I know. Can you believe it? We had a high of 65 degrees today here in Bakersfield, and temperatures are well below freezing, even well below zero. So we are thankful to be on the West Coast, but unfortunately, as skies begin to clear as we head into the overnight hours, we are tracking yet another morning with the chance to see some dense fog. Now, most of this fog is going to be to the north of the county, but that doesn't mean we could be seeing some patchy fog up near Delano. That's going to be impacting the San Joaquin Valley from 2 a.m. until 10 a.m. on Wednesday. So temperatures are going to be well above seasonal yet again here in Bakersfield. We could have highs that are more than 10 degrees above average, with a high of 68 degrees tomorrow, 65 up in Lake Isabella, and 59 in Tehachapi. But unfortunately, we are seeing those warm temperatures. That does mean worsening air quality, so we will be unhealthy for sensitive groups with an AQI of 147. And again, that is just a few points away of unhealthy for everyone. So that's something that we will be tracking. But we are tracking fresh air that's going to be making its way into the county. County. This is the first out of 3 storms that will be pushing into the county later this week, into the weekend, as well as early next week. So by the time you're waking up on Thursday, could be seeing some rain chances in the western portion of the valley, but this system will be bringing accumulating rain across the valley as well as into the mountains throughout the early morning as well as early afternoon hours on Thursday. So that's the first of 3. The second is going to be in the early morning hours on Saturday, and then the third overnight Sunday into Monday. That's going to be the coolest system. Could be seeing some snow chances in the mountains. The Now Bakersfield will be right back.
Let's get the Now News feed started. And the first criminal trial for a pharma executive who marketed fentanyl starts this week in Boston. John Kapoor's company made a fentanyl drug for those with cancer. Now he's accused of using bribes and fraud to sell it to those without cancer because he wasn't happy with sales. Well, a lot of parents give toddlers their phones or iPads just to kind of grab their attention, keep them occupied. But a new study says really may not be a good idea. That study showing that excessive screen time can lead to poor development later in life. We're specifically talking about social skills and communication. Well, potholes, they're absolutely the worst, but one place in California is making sure people see potholes in a very unique way. Look what they're doing here in Boulder Creek. Yeah, planting trees in the potholes. They're trying to send a message that just not enough is being done to fix them. Well, retirement used to mean leaving your job to just relax and live off your savings. But picture-perfect retirement, it's different for a lot of people. And the Now's Jace Larson shows us how some live the retirement life that we do dream about, even though their bank accounts were nearly empty.
This is home. All 31 feet of it.
At first, retirement life for Bill Stroh seems simple.
The beauty of it is the view right on the Ohio River.
He's a man on an envious mission.
This is Craters of the Moon in Idaho, Theodore Roosevelt National Park in North Dakota.
At 71, he's trying to visit every national park in the country, and he's only got 3 to go.
Gates of the Arctic National Park, so I've been above the Arctic Circle.
But under the surface, Bill is a survivor. He's had to fight for his financial goals after the economy collapsed. Many of those goals seemed impossible.
Lost my home in 2007. and pretty much everything with it.
For a while, he bummed around with friends and even worked overseas. But his obsession with our nation's greatest treasure called him back.
I was basically starting all over with nothing. And it turned out to not be so bad.
Bill heard about seasonal work at Amazon. Now, this isn't your usual part-time job. In 4 months, Bill can stockpile enough money to live out his retirement dreams the other 8 months of the year.
I think it's fantastic.
Bill got hired in October for the holiday rush as part of the Camper Force program. It's set up for people willing to live nearby and work their tails off through the return season that's still going on. For 10 hours a day, 6 days a week, employees like Bill grab their scanners and pull merchandise off the shelves to get it ready to ship to you. How's the money?
Money's pretty good.
Every one of Amazon's employees starts out at $15 an hour. In a month, Bill can clear $3,200, and even more when you consider that Amazon pays for his RV space. That's a savings of nearly $1,000. After 90 days, employees can get health insurance.
It will definitely pay for my new radiator that's right under there. And I had to put new suspension in before I went to Alaska.
The work is hard, and so's the schedule.
Our normal shift is 6 until 4:30 in the morning, and we've tacked on till 5:30. So last night we went till 5:30.
That's the best part. That is the best part.
But along the way, friends have made it fun. Stops at the local Waffle House before work with coworkers are now the norm.
For every overtime hour you work at the end.
Amazon has fulfillment centers all over the country, and it's hiring year-round, whether you're in an RV or willing to move nearby full-time.
We have folks in Camper Force that were former police officers, firefighters, work for the government.
When he's done, Bill will be loaded up with enough money to start his next year of adventure. But he's already eyeing this job again next year. And by then, he hopes to have reached his goal.
I'm going to get to these national parks.
Amazon's website lists all kinds of jobs. And Chris, the company touts that in many cases you get to pick your own schedule. So this can be a real win-win.
You know, there's so many unique ways to make money out there these days.
He shows there is.
Incredible stuff, Jace. Thank you. And finally in our lineup, the esports business, it is getting so big, big name universities, they're actually starting to offer classes in esports. We're taking a look into what students are really getting into. You're watching The Now. Video games are gaining so much popularity that universities are actually starting to offer classes in esports. The Now's Andy Taylor giving us a look at this new phenomenon.
Let's face it, a lot of college kids were already playing video games in their dorms, so what's new? Well, now universities across the country are offering courses as well as certificates and majors in esports. You're probably asking yourself, well, what do these students specifically learn? Ohio State University is introducing a series of esport courses, and they'll include things like production of esports, programming, the business of games, and using games for health and rehab. Students will also study the brains and bodies of esports athletes. And speaking of gamer athletes, Marquette University in Wisconsin is launching one of the first varsity esports teams. Yes, the university says esports is just like traditional sports in the way that players focus on leadership and communication, just like any other sport. Students will need to try out to be on the team, and there will be regular practices. A coach will also need to be hired, and just like college sports, players can eventually join a pro esports team. Now, we talked with one esports player about how this all works.
And if your team is consistently playing throughout the country, throughout the world, then you are able to earn a living traveling with your team.
Well, as you can imagine, Chris, there are already some concerns about how schools should, handle esports. Well, the NCAA president has said he wants to make sure women also get involved with esports games because 95% of all esports are actually played by males. So, would you have done this?
I was pretty good at Madden back in the day in my college days. It's incredible, though, how much structure this actually has and how people are into it so much more beyond just people in their dorm room passing the time. That's like a real thing now. It's crazy.
I still need to be convinced.
Yeah. All right. Annie, thanks. And Apple Pay is expanding soon to more big-name stores and restaurants. But with this pay with your phone service going mainstream, how safe is it really? Tomorrow on The Now, we're getting perspective from a cybersecurity expert.
Coming up tonight on 23 ABC News at 11, a new construction project that includes the permanent closure of a busy highway on-ramp. We'll have the details of what will happen at Real Road, Highway 58, and the Highway 99 interchange, what you need to know to help plan your daily commute. We're going to have that story and much more tonight on 23 ABC News at 11. In the meantime, though, let's take a quick check of our weather forecast. We know rain on the way, right, Allison?
Very exciting. That also means fresh air on the way because we have another day of hazy conditions tomorrow. In the upper 60s, then we're going to be dropping down to near seasonal as the first system moves through on Thursday, another one on Saturday, and then yet another one on Monday. So back to back to back excitement.
I like it when that happens, though. It'll move in, move out, and we'll be back to our regular temperatures. That's going to do it for us on the Now Bakersfield. We'll see you back here tonight at 11.